We are live.
Yay! I am old new dude, and he is.
Richard York, Asher's True Son, and I said I couldn't do this today, but we'll do a little bit.
I didn't. I normally before I log on to the streamline and everything, I check to see if it's in a text. And today I had to tell the Richard I in town medical stuff, and so I didn't set it up in the morning like I normally do. And I went to go on, it wasn't set up. I was like, oh crap! So I set it up real quick. Come to find out, he couldn't do it today anyways, but he's gracious enough to try to get at least 20
Yeah,
minutes
we'll
in or
do
something.
a little bit. We'll do a little bit here. All right. So what I'd suggested maybe we actually started with Toodles in his first post. So what it's actually not is he rewrote this in like 2022 or something.
Mhm.
Um, so I mean, originally he did this, I don't
It's
know.
good to throw it out here, bad. Nobody's watching at this moment.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, um, so this is Liar, Liar, A Song of Ice and Fire, metatextual signpost that A Song of Ice and Fire is lying to us. And this is the Redux from like 2020, I don't know, 2 or something like that. I posted my first slapdash attempt at a real piece of A Song of Ice and Fire analysis, the original version of this Liar, Liar essay, more than 6.5 years ago. Almost immediately, I realized I semi-hated it and wanted/needed to significantly rework it. Instead, I spent years writing and writing and writing other A Song of Ice and Fire stuff. Finally, I ginned up the following tempered and, I hope, much improved version of Liar Liar, which for no good reason I'm only getting around to posting now. Here it is. All right, so yeah, was probably originally this was probably posted in like 2023 or something. Anyway, um, just based on his 6.5 year thing.
Hmm.
Hey, Tris is here.
Hey,
So we're gonna do a abbreviated abbreviated discussion today because yeah, I really shouldn't be doing
yeah,
this. I've got
I didn't
I
check my text
gotta go
messages.
head to work head into the office. Anyway, um, while Song of Ice and Fire contains the trappings of generic fantasy, dragons, magic, strange gods, a setting inspired by medieval and Renaissance Europe, I think it is in significant respects less a prototypical fantasy genre story than is a kind of mystery story wearing fantasy clothing. I'm convinced it's not just a genre fiction mashup, though, because I don't think its text works only in the straightforward way the text of a piece of quotidian genre fiction works. Rather than being merely a naive storytelling vessel, the happenstance result of an author trying to tell a story in an entertaining fashion, our text is in certain ways painstakingly constructed, highly conscious of itself as a text, and permeated throughout by clues that exist only on a textual level for the reader, while also being at times written to mislead. I believe certain scenes early in A Game of Thrones are Song by Fire's way of coming close to admitting that it's not as innocent as it generally pretends and as might be assumed, while maintaining plausible deniability. Subsequently, as if to elaborate on the lessons of these scenes, A Game of Thrones repeatedly foregrounds two phenomena. First, the slipperiness of language and of the truth, slipperiness which are, I suspect, crucial to some of the Song of Ice and Fire's key deceptions. And second, the way people's expectations shape what they see, which has critical in-world consequences. Disguised as work, secret identities we don't know about yet, you bet, which also suggests that A Song of Ice and Fire expects that readers will understandably assume it is no more than the genre fiction it at first seems to be, will naturally be blind to its pervasive metatextuality and its capacity for deception. This writer will explore these propositions. And this is somewhat similar to the fact that Adam Feldman starts off by saying that he thought that a dance didn't make sense. And he had all the same criticisms that other people have and so forth until he realized that it's deliberately misleading and that that's not what's going on, right? That what appears to be happening and what's actually happening are two different things.
Right.
A prototypical fantasy story. And by the way, George has said that analysis is 100% correct, right? So it's sort of confirmed that this is what's happening, at least in dance, right? He's at least
Right.
confirmed that analysis of dance is correct. I would argue that that's an appropriate analysis for the series, and that this is the same argument, right?
Right.
And I've occasionally complained about one tweet from one prominent member of the fandom that I feel like kind of takes a shot at this approach. I mean, it does take a shot at this approach, and where George has basically told us that's the right approach, and so I do not. I do not agree. Anyway, I do agree with these posts, right? I do agree with Adam Feldman and Toodles and their style of analysis, and I strongly disagree with the criticism thereof. Anyway, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, Joe the Magician is basically, I can't remember the exact details, but he basically said that that Song by Fire is not trying to deceive you, and if you think it is, that says more about you than it does about it, or something like that. I mean, he's like saying it's like an ad hominem attack at the very approach that Adam Feldman uses, and I'm like, what? Anyway, prototypical fantasy story. In prototypical fantasy narratives, clearly identified protagonists consistently posited as reader surrogates set forth on some great task, enduring and overcoming a series of obstacles, culminating in a final conflict and victory over a clearly identified, generally undeniable evil. The recognizable structure facilitates simple pleasures, knowing on some level that the protagonists are going to win the readily apparent conflict. Readers can sit back and enjoy the vicarious thrills of the good guy's struggle and triumph. Sometimes the protagonists are normally gray, e.g. Conan, but there are still clear antagonists who are unambiguously worse, preserving the basic structure and pleasures of the genre. Clearly, A Song of Ice and Fire is in several ways not this kind of prototypical fantasy story. While there's a seeming big bad, the White Walkers, it's not clear that they are unproblematically evil, and the books are not at all structured around a quest to defeat them. Instead, the guy who at first seems like he will be the primary protagonist is killed off in the middle of the first book, which, rather than being the first stage in an unfolding great task, turns out to be, in essence, the glorified prologue to the real first act of the story, which, oh, by the way, unfolds from dissonant perspectives, and which, as a whole, makes only occasional reference to the would-be big bad, focusing instead on polyvalent conflicts involving actors possessed of complex, sometimes inconsistent and or contradictory motives and natures. The climax of the first act, the Red Wedding, kills off two more would-be heroic protagonists, even as virtually every member of the erstwhile congenitally villainous House Lannister is gradually humanized, including even Tywin in The World of Ice and Fire. The flaws of putative heroes like Dany and Arya metastasize, and the could-have-been righteous lust for revenge of one of our now-dead original would-be heroes, Catelyn, is shoved in the faces of sympathetic, bloody-minded readers as a sinister, dehumanizing force. A narrative steeped in mystery. While Song of Ice and Fire thus seems in some significant respects to belly the norms and frustrate the expected pleasures of prototypical fantasy, it is absolutely permeated by mystery and the unknown. Lacking anything like an omniscient narrator or sage guru figure to vomit exposition for our benefit, the nature of and truth about seemingly everything remains even now weirdly opaque, such that A Song of Ice and Fire is, if anything, more mysterious than a prototypical mystery story. Well, oh, shoot. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Hello?
You're muffled like crazy.
I can hear you. All right, just a minute.
He'll be back. And as we wait, just to let you know, it's going to be a shortened version today. Apparently, Richard sent a text. I didn't catch it. I was in town doing medical stuff, and I didn't even schedule this until like 15 quarter till. Here he is.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Yep, it happened.
Nice banner.
Yeah, I put it up for.
Oh, it's supremacy. Oh.
Yes.
Supremacy. Okay. I can hear you pretty well. Did I cut out there?
Well, yeah, there the very end.
Well, yeah, but more mysterious than a prototypical mystery story. Yeah, that's probably about where I was, right?
Yeah.
Well, a generic mystery detective novel is centered around one central mystery, e.g., who killed the victim and how and why did they do it. The solution to which promises to provide closure to the dramatic action of the narrative and psychological satisfaction to the invested reader. A Song of Ice and Fire entails a huge number of mysteries, multifarious multiplying mysteries, and thus promises a huge number of revelations, each promising a satisfying dose of the kind of closure and suture we associate with the mystery detective genre. Some of Song of Ice and Fire's mysteries are more or less ordinary, proper mysteries, qua mysteries, i.e. mysteries that are viewed as mysteries by characters who are overtly interested in solving them, like detectives in a detective story, e.g., who sent the cat's paw to kill Bran? Who killed John Arryn? What's the deal with the White Walkers? Who is Tansy? Who, if anyone, killed Joffrey? Who's murdering people in Winterfell and A Dance with Dragons? Because you could just joked. Who is murdering people in Winterfell and Dance with Dragons? But readers are also faced with innumerable mysteries which characters aren't necessarily investigating in anything like an active, detective-like fashion. Some of these are implicitly or explicitly mysterious to characters, e.g., who is Thwaite? What's Illyrio's or Littlefinger's true agenda? What's the deal with Jaqen H'ghar? What happened to Tysha? Who is young Griff truly? Many big picture questions contributing to the general sense of the unknown fall into this category too. What's the deal with the irregular winters, ice ages? How does magic work? Are the gods real? Why is history stalled? And then, making at least as big a contribution to the fundamental air of mystery saturating A Song of Ice and Fire, there are the things that are surely far less, if at all, mysterious, or at least some major characters, which A Song of Ice and Fire nonetheless contrives to make opaque to us by having characters refer to events knowingly, without explanation, and or by refusing to register the truth in the POVs that we're pretty sure know it. Okay, yeah, like well, I mean, let's see what examples he gives before I start giving the same examples potentially, right? Sometimes this occurs in the moment, as when Theon's point of view silence obfuscates his, and thus our would-be identification with the so-called hooded man of Winterfell. Okay, that's a good example. But the most prominent and important examples concern big picture questions regarding the recent history of Westeros. What happened at Summerhall? Yeah, absolutely. Who was the Knight of the Laughing Tree? What happened at the Tower of Joy? What were Ned's promises to Lyanna? And what is Jon Snow's lineage? The truth about these things is hugely important to readers, and thus, as in a prototypical mystery story, to the dramatic action of the narratives and to readers' ultimate psychological closure and satisfaction. But there are no in-world detectives who are our proxies who ferreting it out. Some characters, well, some cases, some of those there are, but anyway, some characters clearly know these answers, but we're left waiting for an ignorant character to show an interest or for GRRM to decide to have someone elaborate on things that remain unexplained. Yeah, so for example, Summerhall, everybody knows Summerhall, right? Hello, deck of cards.
Hey.
So whenever somebody talks about Summerhall, like instantly all the characters are, oh yeah, Summerhall, right? So everybody knows that, right? And of course, we're in Ned's head, who obviously knows what his promises were to Lyanna, which I would say are to protect her three children, just as his promise to Roberts to protect his three children. Right. And I think it's tied together because it's the same promise to protect my three children. See, triplet Targaryens. Anyway. But anyway, yeah. So his point is that's different from a mystery. It's presented to us as a mystery, while the characters deliberately exclude that information from our knowledge, including in the world of Ice and Fire, where they do that with Summerhall, right?
Oh yeah, they gloss over things that we need to know. I restarted a deep dive on my what is it?
At this point, Bran will give us all the answers. Stack of cards. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be the last page, and George is going to finally give us all the answers, because the second one, it's a domino effect. Once one domino falls on the unknowns that George doesn't want to tell us, it seems that
well, there'll be a series. There'll be different series of dominoes, right? There'll be Bran will probably reveal some things with regards to Jon and his own parenting. Next book is already 1,600 pages. Yeah, he said something like that. I can't remember exactly, but say yeah, something like that. He's talked about how it's already going to be the longest book in the series.
Answer the questions that we want in 1,600 pages. It's. I have a feeling 90% of the unanswered the answers that we want as a reader is not coming until Dream of Spring.
Who knows at this point? Yeah. Well, so some of those are. In fact, he moved a Bran chapter because it was going to reveal some of the big stuff at the very. So the most likely, like one of Bran's first couple chapters. Now I say first couple because it's pretty common that the first one or two of each POV is largely about reestablishing where they are in the world and what's going to happen and so forth. Like we've mentioned before, if you look at the first one or two chapters of each POV in Storm, almost nothing happens in a book that is by far the fastest paced of the series, right? And yet people look at the examples from The Winds of Winter and they're saying nothing's happening, and I'm like, nothing happens in the first POV of each person in Storm. That doesn't mean that the book is too slow.
They're setting the board for Sybass. I mean, you got to put the board out there.
So even though he moved a Bran chapter to Winds, it doesn't necessarily mean that will be the first Bran chapter because now that it's Bran's first chapter in Winds, he may need another chapter for Bran that's more about reestablishing where Bran is and what's going on and so forth. Can I ask a random question? Absolutely. That's what we're here for on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Please do.
But anyway, so the point is that there will be reveals of some of the mysteries, right? But there's also going to be a big what is Lemongate? Has the Green Bard got some great videos for you? So our friend Guy has a channel called The Green Bard that really goes into Lemongate, and I have a channel called Asher's Trueborn Son that the fourth video on my Triplet Targaryen series is all about Lemongate as well. Yeah, it's me, Supremacy Atali, but in another account. Aha!
Oh, hey.
There you go.
I did this for you.
There you go. Oh, how's Tully?
Hey.
Anyway, so anyway, what I was saying was that that we are going to get some big reveals from Bran.
Lemongate.
I love you, bro. Lemongate. Yeah. Okay, sorry. So Lemongate, at its core, Lemongate is that Dany's house with the red door with the lemon tree outside her window isn't in Bravos. That's the core of Lemongate, right? That's and as John, what's his name? Wood something. What's his name?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You're the one that said you were going to watch the videos.
Oh, I got it written down. Hold on. John Greenhand or Greenwood.
Greenwood. I knew it was something Wood. John Greenwood.
Yeah. I had it written down.
Okay, John Greenwood has also a great video on why the lemon tree cannot be in Bravos, right? And part of that is in the first book, she tells you that home is the house with the red door and green fields and stone houses, and so it's apparently surrounded by green fields. And there's another part where, like, I think it's in Clash, where she's running barefoot through those green fields. Anyway, the point is, you're not running barefoot through green fields in Bravos. Like, not if you're anywhere near the Sea Lord's Palace or the Gardens of the Mighty, where you might maybe be able to find some sort of enclosed lemon tree that would somehow still be outside your window. Like, it doesn't. I mean, the word outside is used over and over again with that lemon tree. But anyway, the point being, and actually, there's an email to George. I really like his Ferris video. I need to watch that one still. I think that every person on this channel must buy a shirt of House Tully.
Hey, Chris,
And,
do we have any
um,
Tully shirts? I don't think we do we?
Thank you. Makes sense now. Yeah, it's actually a Preston Jacobs shirt. He has a great video series called Danny's Page of Lies, where he goes over all the things that are wrong about about Danny's backstory. Now, our take on it would be George has hints in John's 4th chapter that he's going to have a character. We don't, unfortunately. He's going to have a people of this channel must buy a shirt anyway. I guess that's what he's talking about. Anyway,
I asked if we had a Tully shirt. I couldn't remember, but I didn't think we did.
Okay. So George tells us in John's 4th chapter he's going to have a character with a phony backstory that has an accent that tells you the truth about them, and Danny has a Tyroshi accent.
Right.
My biggest problem with John Greenwood's videos is that he claims that he's proven that it's not in Tyrosh because Danny doesn't recognize the brother of someone from Tyrosh, where I'm like, she left when she was a little kid. I wouldn't recognize anybody's faces. But secondly, there's been changes in who's in charge of Tyrosh as well. In fact, there's stories about speculating as to whether that coincided with Danny having to leave the house with the red door. And both from Toodles and from
that the political change in Tyros is possibly the main reason why.
Yeah, that's what Guy argues in his series on Lemongate. Absolutely. Oh my God, House Tully is the best house of the Song of Ice and Fire, the best characters and best of all. Anyway,
we love you, supremacy.
So anyway, he takes, even though he acknowledges that Danny's familiar with I love how Danny has a Tyroshi accent is explored when she reaches Westeros. So I think that'll be explored on her way. I think at some point she's going to come across the house with the red door, and probably on her way to Westeros. So I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah, so John Greenwood, it's a great video, but he's decided that Danny, even though she's an expert in the bazaars of the free cities and the streets and the bazaars of the free cities, somehow doesn't know the difference between Pentos and Tyrosh. And he decides that if you sell Tyroshi sausages in Pentos, well, that must mean that they're actually from Pentos. And so he takes the smells that are associated with Tyrosh and he reassigns them to Pentos, the smells that remind Danny of home. And I would argue that those are in fact evidence that she's from Tyrosh. Anyway, hello family, hello Mother Roy. Well, let's finish the last 2 paragraphs and then I kind of gotta go.
Okay.
Undeniable then, A Song of Ice and Fire is swimming in mysteries. Hey, Mother. Indeed, it wastes no time in making its pervasive, mysterious nature apparent. In the first several chapters of Game of Thrones, we're presented with the uppercase M mysteries of the White Walkers, Jon Arryn's murder and Bran assassination, while breadcrumbs about the past, about Rhaegar and Lyanna and the Tower of Joy, about Brandon and Ashara, about Aerys, are ostentatiously dropped in a maddening way that makes us want to know more, without anything like the didactic exposition that would follow in a standard, generic, in the proper sense, fantasy story, in which the setting and its history would be explicated early on so the quest to save the world or whatever can proceed per expectations. By placing so many explicit and implicit mysteries in the early pages of The Song of Ice and Fire, GRRM invites readers to be on high alert, to wonder what the fuck is going on, both in-world. What are the answers to all these mysteries the text is explicitly and implicitly presenting, and as regards this fantasy story? Is this a fantasy novel or some kind of crypto detective novel with swords?
Yes.
Anyway, a point against the video is Danny's accent. Right. And then the fact that then he reassigns the Tyroshi evidence to Pentos, and then he says he's disproven that she could be from Tyrosh based on the fact that she doesn't recognize the brother of someone from Tyrosh. And I'm like, no, it doesn't disprove it at all. So anyway, so yeah, if you take the Tyroshi evidence, you reassign it to Pentos, and you claim that the brother that she doesn't know proves that she's not from Tyrosh, then yeah, it would definitively mean that she was from Pentos. But I don't think you should be reassigning the Tyroshi evidence to Pentos, and I don't think you should be ruling out Tyrosh based on the fact that she doesn't recognize somebody's brother, especially since the heads of Tyrosh seems to have potentially changed, and about the time that she had to leave the house with the red door.
Right.
So anyway, I gotta have to wrap up early today, guys. Sorry about that, but
that's all right. I'll open it up for questions and see where we go from there.
All right, yeah, you want to stick around for a little bit, and I'll pop out.
Yeah. I mean, we got 4 people in.
All right,
we'll leave it up.
Talk to you on Friday.
Sorry about that, Richard, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem.
All right, bye. Yeah, that's my fault. I had stuff in town, which is an hour away, medical stuff, and he texted me. He said he couldn't do today. I normally check before I go to StreamYard to get into the studio to start the process of getting ready to go live at noon my time. I didn't check today. I normally do, and then I didn't set the live stream up until about a quarter till because I had forgotten because I was in town. So he had apparently work stuff. He couldn't. His lunch break was not going to be what it normally is, so he wasn't going to be able to. But if anybody's got a question that they want answered or want to throw out there or an opinion, I was telling him that I was telling Chris too, Christopher Mudd. I am redoing my deep dive on my the Hidden Fingers theory, the giant Cybass game that's being played, and I got 2.5 pages just on one chapter that covers the Hidden Finger stuff. When I get a couple of chapters of it, I'll throw it out on a Wednesday to let you know. It's basically that certain events and certain people are being okay. The hold on a second. Let me see if I can do what Richard does. So let's see. Why against the video is because I believe she has a Tyroshi accent, and the video throws it to Pintoshi, whatever accent. If is that right, deck of cards? If you're still there. I can tell without Richard, there's going to be a lot of quiet time. But the Hidden Fingers are that there are 2. Yes, thanks, deck of card. Appreciate that. Let me get it out there. That the name of the very first book is a clue into what's going on. The entire story, our POVs, everything that's happening around the POVs is all a giant Cybass game being played by very powerful. Let's see. Hold on a second. Give me a second. I'm not as quick as that with the. I do like Hidden Fingers. House of the Dragon also indicates Hidden Fingers, especially Lyres. I agree. And I think that there are super green seers, skin changers, wargs, and then there something above the super green seers probably that are the main 2. Without saying fire or ice, life or death, good or bad, player 1 and player 2. They've been playing it for. If a long night comes every 7 to 10,000 years, they've played many games of the long night, and I think that the creatures you see throughout the world, the children of the forest, the giants, the giants' relationship with the mammoths. How could a humanoid creature, the giant, so mirror their mount is because the mount was used as a basis to create a rider, and during that long night, that was that long night's version of a dragon and a dragon rider. So something has been manipulating things throughout time, evolving this creature, the hairy men of Ib, but there's hairy men all throughout the world. If you look up in the histories, The children of the forest, they're kind of a hodgepodge of slightly different creatures, kind of crammed into one. During that long night, when they were cultivated before the long night, that was that person's um, player on the board to go against the other player's player on the board to see who would win that battle. Um, so I'm saying, well, George says we'll never see gods in his story, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to call it gods. Um, in my mind, that's exactly what I call it. Are gods, whether it's for lore and the other, or the one that shall not be named. That I don't know. But I agree. The gods is probably the easiest way to call it. And information trickles down. Um, uh, Littlefinger is the okay deck of cards. I think that Lemongate is the theory that Danny was not raised in Bravos because there are no lemon trees. Exactly. The climate is wrong for it. Most people associate Dorne with lemon trees, and if I'm not mistaken, I'd grabbed the the lands of ice and fire. That's what I was doing. I was trying to find the map that would show it, but the map is uh, extremely large. So I want to say Tyros is in that same area that if Dorne is where people say the lemons would be in the House of the Red Door is in Dorne, then Tyros is in that same um, general area straight across that lemons. The reasons people say Dorne should be where the lemon or the House of Red Door is because of the lemon tree. Tyros is the same reasoning behind it that uh okay. If I can't see anybody else's comment from this point on, I do apologize. Um, my phone is extremely all right. All right, here we go. Uh, does Danny know where this lemon tree is? No. Um, she still thinks that the lemon tree was with the Sea Lord of Bravos. No. Does she know it was a Sea Lord? Or did she think it was a Sea Lord? Damn, I wish Richard was there. I don't know if it was a theory that it was the Sea Lord of Bravos. Yeah. Danny thinks it was the Sea Lord of Bravos. So no, she does not know where the lemon tree is. Um, Getting back to the game, Littlefinger is the he George gives you the rules for the game through Littlefinger. He says once you know what a man wants, roughly, you know how to move them on the board, and there are pieces and players, and many pieces. There are pieces that think they are players. Deck of cards, your lifesaver. No Sea Lord, just Bravos. Okay. Oh yeah, Bravos, and people are assuming that it's going to be the theory that the people that want to support the Bravos theory say it was with the Sea Lord that he would have had exotic plants along with the exotic animals. So yeah, you're right, deck of cards. Thank you. I need to refresh every now. My memory sucks. But Littlefingers tells us that there are pieces that think they are players, and he's moving them all over the board by finding out what they want, using it against them to get them to move the way that he wants. And he says there are times we need to make moves that go against what you want to throw your enemies off. Well, that is exactly what I think is. Why doesn't she move to Bravos if that's her childhood home? Um, Up until recently, her brother controlled all her movements. Then she married Drago. Then she was with the Dothraki. She couldn't leave. And then once her dragons were born, it's she's going back home. So the Westeros home, not Dorne or not Bravos. So I don't think it's ever been on the table for her. Once the dragons were born, the going back to Westeros, the Iron Throne was for the forefront of her brain. Hold on a second. It's too far away, I suppose. Yeah, like I said, I don't think that she's had the capacity to control her movements until the dragons were born, and then once the dragons were born, then Westeros, the Iron Throne, that she does get jammed up in Marine, which is I don't know if that's George's way of allowing the dragons to. She needed something to slow her down so the dragons could grow. Drogon needed to be big enough for her to ride. They needed to be their scales needed to harden enough so her arrows don't hurt the underbelly. I mean, he wanted to get some years on them. I know there was the 5 year gap, and that would allow the dragons to grow too. But because I mean, stop and look at Balerion, the Black Dread. I mean, how big he was on scale. I mean, there are dragons in House of the Dragon that rival the size that he was. So, but I mean, there were smaller dragons in House of the Dragon that could definitely do some damage. Even Drogon in what was it, season 7? Okay, with the flying above the Dothraki going toward the Lannister army. He's not a full fledged. I mean, he's not a 100-year-old dragon or anything like that, but he's still pretty good size and demolishes a lot of crap. So I'm assuming that there was a slow down process to allow the dragons to grow to where they would have some size. They would be formidable. They would be able to protect themselves and their rider and be big enough for them to ride, for Danny to ride, and whoever the other two riders were going to be. Don't know who that would be. Me and King Christopher. I don't think. All right. I remember one quote. Someone comment that her dragons are growing very fast. Danny replies, not fast enough. Yeah, this is true. I want to say it's in the beginning of season 2. Jorah Mormont on the show says they're growing fast, and she says not fast enough. I just started rewatching the show. I do that every now and then. I probably won't make it past season 4, but we'll see. But it helps kill the time. Episode here, episode there. But I just watched that episode yesterday. It's the only reason I remembered it. I have to reread the books, rewatch the show, or I have problems retaining memories, information sometimes. So repetitiveness, it helps with the some of the memory problems I have. But speaking of memory, I'm trying to remember where we were. Littlefinger gives you the rules on how to play the game. And when I was going over, when he says there are pieces that think there are players, I think he's talking about himself too, but he just doesn't know it. Which there'll be a deep dive on a lot of the moves that Littlefinger makes. But when he moves people on the board, and there are those that think that he was at the inn at the crossroads after Harrenhal when the snows came back down. He was waiting for the snows to thaw so he can go back home. He's the reason that players and pawns. There you go. Thank you. That he was waiting, that he saw Lyanna and Rhaegar. I always liked Viserion for Val. She was the only character associated with it. Exactly. Without a doubt. Now, see, before I came on board and with the 3 heads of the dragon, Val, Aegon, and Dany, I was looking at the colors of the dragons, and I was like, okay, the colors of the dragons. You got the black and red for Danny. You have the green and gold, and then you have the cream and gold. I believe the two colors. The cream white-ish and gold. Because there's the theory that Cersei and Jaime are secret Targaryens. That Jaime being a Kingsguard, white and gold would be for him. And there's a lot of times that Cersei is in a green dress. The comments of her green eyes and everything, and her golden hair. I'm like, all right, Cersei's going to ride the green and gold one. And then they got on board with the three heads of the dragon, three babies born at the Tower of Joy, Val, Aegon, and Danny. Then I kind of backed away from that assessment of the dragon colors. And yes, I agree. Val does have the color white associated with her, especially coming back. John makes some good comments on her in the white and her playing with Ghost, and it looked like Ghost was made for her at that moment type situation. I think that's kind of the ballpark of what he was saying when she returned. That yeah, Val definitely would have the light colored white creamish Sarion. But get back to Littlefinger to the next question. That he was responsible. He saw Rhaegar and Lyanna leave the crossroads at the inn, and when Brandon came by, he told him that Rhaegar had captured her, took her away, and Brandon ran to King's Landing, and then the rest is history. That starts the Robert's Rebellion. That he, in fact, if you like with Bran getting hurt, you got the falling dream. Euron made a comment about jumping from a height that might have been something about him being sick at an early age. You got Varys being cut at a very early age and left to die. The near death experience is when the three-eyed crow or someone like that comes to someone, and in Bran's fall, you have all those bodies scattered of potential green seers or powerful skinwalkers or skin changers that did not fly. So, um, so there's a lot of them out there. It's just that some of them didn't make it past that near-death experience. Bran did, of course. Littlefinger, Varys, Euron, are potential skinwalkers or skin changers. I don't know why I keep saying skinwalkers. Skin changers or green seers. But I say that once Littlefinger got hurt by Brandon, that near death is what awoken his powers. But the three-eyed crow, for lack of a better alternative at this moment, is the one that, okay, what did Littlefinger want? He wanted cat, and Brandon stood in his way of cat. So by telling Brandon that Rhaegar took Lyanna, he sent Brandon all Robert Baratheon style to King's Landing and got Brandon killed. Now he's out of the way of Cat. Now, the person pulling Littlefinger's strings got him to do that for Cat, but the person pulling the strings wanted Robert's Rebellion to happen, and that was the first domino to fall to get Littlefinger to move other pieces on the board by moving Littlefinger on the board to start all of Robert's Rebellion. Let's see what we got here. Returned, guys. Hey. But yeah, that's the whole little hidden fingers that there are those that are pulling the strings. People on and the whole thing is it's not that they can. The theory and philosophy is that they cannot make anyone do something that they absolutely wouldn't do, and it was completely out of character for them. It's um the it's Tyrion at the top of the wall. It's his last night there. He can turn left or he can turn right. And he takes a right, I believe. It takes him to John. It's that type of thing. It has to be a decision that could go either way. The person could, in theory, do it one way or do it another way, and you're using memories, their desires, whatever you could. It's like the carrot. You're dangling it in front of their brain, to get them to move the way that you want them to. And if it's not a strong enough dream, or if it's not a strong enough want, then you fail at moving them in the direction that you want. And they go in the direction that hold on a second. You are accidentally skipping the latest comment. Hold on a second. All right, let me see if I can get this. All right. Hold on a second. Let me make sure that wasn't the last comment. I apologize. I have very, very small screen on here. All right, deck of cards. I apologize, deck of cards. I don't like that all that happened in Westeros is because of Littlefinger theory. It makes him too important. It's not all because of him. Are you talking about it's because of the person pulling the string. It's the little pebble that starts the avalanche. He didn't do that to start the big giant war. I mean, finish comment. It makes him too important. Important is the same reason I don't like Arthur Sales with John. Makes John too important. I can understand that. Um, but like I said, that Littlefinger was just the teeny tiny pebble that started the avalanche. That's not his desire. It's the people above him that are moving him on the board, the same as they're moving other people. Um, just in the prologue of back out of this so I can see when a comment comes up. Uh, I didn't even know I could back out of comments. So deck cards, don't worry. Yeah, get them. Sorry. Get it to where I can see when a new comment comes up. In the prologue, you got at the very beginning of the prologue, you got Garrett wanting we should return. We need to go back. So you got one side of which player one wants them to go back. Garrett is the one that we don't have insight in his brain. We don't have the insight of Royce's brain. We got Will's, and one wants to go back. One wants to go see the bodies, and the one that wants to go see the bodies is the one leading it. So that's the direction they go. Then you have the White Walkers there, and there's a Stark-looking person that the White Walkers basically give a test to, and he fails. And then, all right, the player two won because Will went to the clearing that was 2 miles. It took him a good while to get there. They're in the clearing. The White Walkers show up, kill Royce, and Will is petrified. He's in the tree. He doesn't want to come down. He stays up there as long as he possibly can, and he comes down. And then he goes to grab the sword hilt to show Lord Mormont, and then Royce chokes him. My theory is that if Will hadn't have gotten down when he thought the coast was clear, not as stayed up there as long as he possibly could, giving Royce the time to come back alive or come back from the dead, not alive, he would have met up with Garrett, and they would have both gone to the wall because the 40-year veteran Garrett wouldn't have deserted possibly if there was another Ranger Will and they were bouncing ideas off of. He didn't want to look bad. I mean, the outcome could have been different if Will was there, so that Mormont would know the full report of what happened there. So by scaring Will with the little danglies fear, the one player got his wish that Mormont doesn't know exactly what happened there, and Garrett heads south. I know it's not a theory for everybody, so those that put up with me talking about it, I appreciate it. And we're down to one. All right, it's 10 till. Richard's not here. It's not as much fun talking without Richard because I just tend to ramble. If anybody's got a quick question out there, before we go, deck of cards says I have to go. Bye. I appreciate it, deck of cards. No question. All right. It was a weird day. Sorry about that. And let's see. Tyrion is on Friday. Let's see if I can figure it out. All right. It's hump day. What are you gonna do? But I appreciate it, Chris. It's hard to get my thought process out without having it written on paper in front of me, and all that paper is in the other room. I wasn't planning on talking about it. I didn't know Richard wasn't going to be able to do today. But all right, see y'all Friday. Have fun. Take care. Take it easy.